Good morning, I'm Sophie. On this week's Serious Social, we're going to be discussing Twitter's quarterly results. So CJ, we know that Twitter are pleased with their quarterly results. What are the details?
Well, it's the second profitable quarter in a row, which in itself is a bit of a story. Followers of our content will know in the past week we've been in the BBC studios again. Normally we're in there talking about a story that's broken. So like when Facebook's Cambridge Analytica issue hit the news, we get trotted in. But this week they had us projecting results and forecasting what Twitter were going to do. And that in itself was quite a challenge. I said last quarter they had a profitable quarter. That was actually Twitter's first ever quarter in their 12-year history. They never quite got the balance between staff cost, overhead, advertising proposition and ad revenue coming in. It was never quite right. So their costs and their expenditure has been all over the place. They finally got it right last quarter. Investors were keen to know, was that representative of just a great Christmas ad period, or are the signs of a turnaround there? Well, as we know, it wasn't just a one-off, two in a row. Analysts were expecting to see Twitter announce about $608 million of revenue. As we now know, they came in with $665 million of revenue. That's up 21% year on year, which is significant. But more interestingly, their ad revenue is up 28%. So everything they've been doing from an advertising and a partner perspective is working. Twitter say plenty more room for growth and they expect better things to come, which if you're an investor who's waited 12 years for your first profitable quarter, you'd be forgiven for being a little impatient around this. But the interesting bit buried within their press release, video, responsible for 50% of their ad revenue. Now we know they made a big play into live video a year, 18 months ago, signed up a lot of news and sports broadcasters to live stream content. Regular Twitter users will know that you will sometimes see PGA Golf on the right-hand side of your feed. They're doing a lot more on that. They really believe in live video. Given the performance in advertising, we expect to see more brands piling in on this. We think the signs are encouraging for Twitter.
And have we seen an increase in daily active user growth?
Yeah, good question. We have. And this was one of the areas that people were looking at, because although they got the profitable quarter last time out, their user base was really stagnant. It hadn't grown. Well, they have grown this time. They've added 6 million users to the platform. That's up 2 million year on year. But the really interesting metric is the fact that active user numbers are up 10%. So all this live video we've just been talking about and all these partnership agreements, it's clearly having an impact on users and making them more active on channel. And as we know in social media, user growth, increase in active users, they're all the signals that an advertiser wants to be hearing when they're looking to invest with their media spend. One of the challenges that Snapchat has had is not been able to grow demographics outside of their prime, so we regularly talk about the importance of growing users in other areas. The fact that Twitter have got that on the up is a good sign indeed.
So live video, what else have we got that's contributed to their success?
Well, their ad proposition has really leaped forward. Their sales execution on this is more on point. I mean, you and I did a Serious Social video back in March, I think, where we finally went on the record saying Twitter's got its swagger back when it comes to advertising. But as you know, Sophie, we've known since October time that's been the case. We've done all the media buying for our clients around a key period. A number of it featured live video deployment. And I remember when the guys were reporting the metrics to me at the end of the following week, I said they can't be right, you've got to go and check them. And after checking them 3 times, we suddenly realised that Twitter performance had rocketed. So we obviously declared it to clients, but we kind of kept it back from the public domain. We've tracked it since then. Twitter reach, Twitter relevance and resonance with user, that's been on the up for a while now. We're seeing better engagement with the ads that are served. So that's representative of a better targeting platform that they've now got. So tracking of interests and behaviours, that's working for Twitter. When we're targeting on behaviours and interests, they're landing and the engagements and the resonance is up. Now, the interesting bit that people probably don't know is Twitter largely use the same metrics to curate those behaviours and interests that Facebook do. So tracking in your smartphones. If you're checking into an airport and you're travelling somewhere, then we know you're interested in travel, for example. And Facebook's come through 3 or 4 weeks of a bit of grief about how they collect and utilise data, and they've made some changes themselves. What's going to be interesting is, are Twitter going to be forced to make those same changes? Are they having to bring about additional changes to be GDPR compliant? We've got that 25th of May date looming fast now. But the signs are encouraging. If you're an investor, it's probably long overdue though.
Do you think we could see a hat trick of quarterly profit?
Ooh, that's a question. I do. And I think that's largely down to a lot of people only just waking up to this turnaround Twitter are amidst, it would appear. We've obviously done a lot of video content ourselves, but the piece we did with the likes of World News, they go out to 200 million people globally. So the more people like us or other industry experts are talking up Twitter's ad proposition, and the more that the earnings call gets spoken about, and it has been spoken about a lot in the last 3 or 4 days. I think every news network globally has picked up on this story. People will realise Twitter's on the up. I expect media buying to be on the up as well and people to pile into it. So yes, I think they will make it 3 in a row. We know they've got some additional overhead coming. They've just announced that they're going to grow headcount by 10 to 15%, but that's for resources to help combat things like fake news, trolling, all the things that Twitter have been working hard to make Twitter a better place for users, and that's clearly having an impact. So although they're going to add some cost to the business, we expect their ad revenue to take another leap, a profitable quarter to come. After that though, I wouldn't be surprised to see them plateau or hit a little decline. That wouldn't necessarily be representative of poor performance within Twitter. We normally see that back end of summer, early autumn. Brands kind of hunker down as they prepare for their Christmas driver, which year on year just gets bigger and bigger on social. Given we are still in April, I think this is the earliest we've spoken about Christmas drivers.
I think we're looking forward to seeing the next round of results. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Serious Social. You can find all our videos on the website, or if you search the hashtag Serious Social.